right, it is time to once again ask the expert, here to answer your questions live on air, marriage and family coach Julianna Lyddon. Our first question from Ariel in Glendale. We were talking about the best ways to build those relationships. She wants to know, how do you manage or respond to judgmental family members?
Well, the first thing I think you need to do is start setting some boundaries, because that can be really difficult. Even if it's like your parents, when they start spewing that stuff, it can be extremely uncomfortable. And so I would say kind of rewind it and start thinking about how you want to set those boundaries so that it doesn't happen as much anymore.
Especially as an adult, you have to find that balance, especially with your parents and other older members of your family. All right, Jessica from Phoenix says, how should I deal with narcissistic family members? Should I just turn the other cheek?
Narcissism. Let me tell you, that can be very difficult because they have a lot of trouble getting into your world. The world seems to revolve around the narcissist. So I would say it depends on the situation. You know, if you're at a family event and you don't want to get into it, because they can be very good about really knowing how to punch your buttons. Sometimes you may need to do that. I think it's a case-by-case basis, but definitely with them, you're going to need those boundaries as well in the future.
All right, Brandon from Tempe says, what is the best form of communication in a long-distance relationship? How do we continue to strengthen our bond when you're so far away from one another?
You need to make sure you have this. You get to see each other. So whether you're scheduling Zooms, which may sound funny, Skype, FaceTime, any of that stuff is paramount, but also texting, any kind of communication is super important, but you want to make sure you try to see each other as much as possible.
And technology has made it readily available
at
any point.
It really has, anywhere in the world, so it's good in that way.
All right, Kyra from Phoenix, what are some tips for reconnecting with family members that you've been distant from in the past years?
You want to take it slow, depending upon what caused the sever, right? So I would reach out and just, say something like, hey, I've missed you. I would love to connect sometime if you're willing to. And then kind of back up a little bit.
So what happens if you mentioned the fact extending that olive branch, and sometimes, you got to wait for it. Does it ever come or not? What do you do in that particular instance?
So you really have to decide how much you're going to push. Some people don't want to have that connection anymore. Even if we are family, just because it's biological doesn't mean that we have to have it for the long term. And I see it a lot where sometimes it's to their advantage because it's going to help them remain more healthy to cut that. So you really have to, it can be iffy in certain situations. Take it slow.
All right, Johnny from Glendale says, how do I create an open line of communication with my teenager?
I love this one. You really have to start this as young as possible, but I'm going to say it's never too late. We need to get into their world. So one way to do this is create great conversations while you're in the car. Go into their room, kind of lay on the bed, maybe when they're on the computer, and be like, hey, what's going on? Listen and get into their world so they believe that you care and they can trust you and they want to share.
Yeah, I'm learning this with my 10-year-old right now.
Oh, okay, that's a good age to really practice this.
Yeah, so I'm definitely trying to get in on that, so as he progresses and gets older, we'll have that bond indeed. Julianna, as always, we appreciate the time and the knowledge and the information as well.